The Seattle Sounders' brand new 2025 kit is here. Inspired by two traditional Southern Coast Salish weaving techniques, twilling and twinning. These techniques, passed down through generations, honor the resilience, deep-rooted ties, and creativity that define the cultural fabric of this region. The striking deep blue jersey will be worn by the Sounders for the next 2 seasons to honor the club's deep connection with the Puget Sound and shared responsibility as stewards of the greater Salish Sea watershed. Backing up that commitment, the Seattle Sounders will donate up to $50,000 to benefit community charities around the Puget Sound region. To get your very own Salish Sea kit, visit lobbingscorchers.com/kit. That's lobbingscorchers.com/KIT.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome into another episode of Lobbing Scorchers Under the Lights. Got a great show for you all planned this evening. We're going to be talking some Seattle Sounders. Going to talk about our Lobbing Scorchers adventure to Tukwila, Washington for Tacoma Defiance versus Portland Timbys Open Cup. Going to be recapping that whole night a little bit later. We got some Sounders news to get to. Osaze de Rosario has signed. We're going to talk about that. Got some Craig Waibel sound to react to. The people on the beat got Craig Wibes for a few minutes. I think it was yesterday, and he talked about some Obed Vargas transfer stuff and U22 strategy on how they're going to fill that spot. So we're going to watch that and react to that. Then later on, going to be looking at the hit rate of some of the other U22s that clubs have signed from around the league. I thought that would be interesting to look at just to get an idea of what are the actual odds that Seattle can get an impact player with that spot. And then hit a little Jesus Ferreira discourse. Had some people crashing out in our YouTube comments about Jesus Ferreira on a week where he didn't play. But I'm going to address that. Before we get into all that, though, I do have a special guest to talk some Vancouver Whitecaps, who I'm going to bring on right now. But before we get into this interview, please, everyone, like the video, subscribe to the channel, rate 5 stars. What else? Follow us on Instagram, follow us on TikTok, follow us on all platforms. But let's talk some Vancouver Whitecaps. That has been a big topic of discussion on our show so far this year when we cover the league from a national perspective. An unexpectedly big story. We're not going to do, so we're doing it a little bit different this week, Connor. Usually I have been bringing on someone to preview the upcoming opposition. These two teams just played a few weeks ago, and I'll talk about the Houston Dynamo a little bit. I didn't think there was all that much new ground to cover as far as where the Houston Dynamo are now versus where they were a few weeks ago. And I wanted to talk some Caps. So that's why it's a little bit different this week. And that's what we're going to do right now. We have got Michael McColl of AFTN, a Vancouver Whitecaps podcast, joining the show right now. Going to bring him to the stage. Michael, thank you so much for taking the time to join us here this evening. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. It's been way too long, Ari, since we've chatted. So nice to have this little catch up.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, we've known each other for many years. I think I met you the very first Vancouver Whitecaps game I ever went to up at BC Place in probably 2014 or 2015. And we've seen each other many times over the years because you usually make the trip down to Seattle as well. And let's just get right into it because this has got to be an incredible experience for you right now. For the pretty much the entire time I've known you, the Vancouver Whitecaps, they haven't been bad. They've been solid playoff team at times, never really a contender. And now this is without question the best team in Major League Soccer. They're going to the Concacaf Champions Cup final where they're going to be taking on Cruz Azul and also averaging 2.3 points per game in league play. Michael, I think it is not an exaggeration or hyperbole to say this is one of the most impressive runs that an MLS club has ever been on. So as someone who is getting a front row seat to all of this, covering this team, day in, day out. I'm going to start with the question that we have been asking ourselves, and that has befuddled us all season, which is, how are the Vancouver Whitecaps this good? What is going on? Well, how did this happen?
Well, I mean, a lot of it is Jesper Sørensen. He's come in, nobody knew what to expect. We didn't know what to expect, but he's given this whole group a sense of belief. They've totally bought into his system. He's moved away from a lot of the things that Vanni Sartini did. The zonal marking, which I hate, it's gone. The centre-backs are allowed to send long balls forward or get forward, as opposed to you could only send it that way or that way. That was your only options. All the players, because Vanni did a big chat with us before last season, showed us video, and it's like players have 2 or 3 options when they're on the ball, and that's it. So there was no freedom of expression. Jesper Sørensen's come in, ripped that up, and it's like, you play free, you do what you want to do offensively, be attacking, defensive sort of responsibility as well. But also, so many games means our whole squad has been used. And the guys that's come in have got significant minutes that they maybe wouldn't have had if it was just 1 game weeks, if they hadn't had this cup run. And now the whole squad's pretty much interchangeable. There's clearly some pieces that you miss, like Brian White. If he's not in it, there's a dip. If Andres Kubis isn't at the back, there's a dip. But pretty much everyone else is quite interchangeable right now.
Yeah, like something that I think is so fascinating about it is, I mean, Jesper Sørensen definitely is he's apparently that guy. He's apparently the greatest coach I've ever seen. So there's that. But it seems like he has elicited breakout seasons where you're seeing the absolute best of all these players all at the exact same time. It's like a perfect storm. The first one I want to ask you about a few of these guys, but first one I wanted to ask you about Sebastian Berhalter. I mean, he is the best number 8 in MLS right now. Like I don't see who's even else is even in the discussion with this guy right now. He is unbelievable. Just what he's doing on both sides of the ball. He's scoring these big goals. He's suspended for the CCC final, which I'm pretty upset about because I wanted to watch him play in that game. But what have you made of the leap from Sebastian Berhalter in particular, going from a pretty nondescript prospect, right? Like this guy, he was on Columbus Crew, didn't really get much run there. I feel like they moved him to Austin FC, and then he didn't really get much run there. And last year, I feel like he wasn't even this good. And now all of a sudden he's the best number 8 in the league. Like, what is going on with this Sebastian Berhalter full-on breakout?
I mean, a lot of it is just getting the regular minutes. I mean, that's been key. Under Vanni last year, he wasn't a guaranteed starter. He was the guy that would come in when Kubis maybe was injured or away in international duty, and he would be playing the 6, which wasn't really utilizing what he can do. Sometimes we saw him last year out wide. And again, that's not where his strengths are. So Alessandro Schopp moved on. And I was quite pleased about that because he never really hit the heights, number 8, that we thought he could do. And Berhalter's filled that void and beyond. He has elevated himself so much this year. Now, he has grown year upon year, but this is now a huge leap that he's gone up. And he's, as you say, he's contributing the assists. He's getting the goals. That was always something. He'd maybe get 1 or 2 a season. Now, whenever he's on the ball, you feel he can do something, either set something up or go for a goal. Absolutely gutted that he's missing the final. Obviously, from a team point of view, but for him as well. I've got to know him a little bit the last couple of years. We've had a lot of chats, and he's genuinely such a nice guy. And even after the semi-final, I spoke to him about missing the final, and he just took it in his stride. He's obviously disappointed, but that second half against Miami, that was his cup final. And I think that then shows his mentality, because I harked back, and a lot of folk watching this are going to be way younger than me. So Gaza for England in the 1990 World Cup, booked in the semi-final, was going to miss the final, immediately went to pieces, crying, just wasn't coping. He got subbed off right away. Berhalter could have gone one or two ways. His head could have gone down because he was missing the final, but instead he came out of this in the second half and had one of the best halves of his life.
Yeah, I mean, it's been incredible to watch. I really did not know that he had this in him. And I think it's so stupid that 2 yellow cards in a series leads to a suspension. I did a whole rant about that on one of my last streams, but it's just, I don't know how they haven't changed that. This happens every year where you have a star player who has to miss a big game like this for, I understand accumulation suspensions for a lot of yellow cards. Two? I mean,
I mean, they reset it at the end of the quarterfinals, but like his first yellow card in the first leg was in the 94th minute. It was just a cheap yellow card. But if Miami had got through, Redondo was going to miss out because he also had picked up 2 yellows. I mean, no matter who got in the final, and if it wasn't the Whitecaps, I'd still feel the same way. You need to reset it.
Yeah. It's I could go on about that grievance all show, but we'll keep it pushing because I got I mean, all right, so Sebastian Berhalter is one of these full-on breakouts, but let's just go down the list of what's going on with this team right now because there are just so many. Pedro Vite, MVP candidate, I think, like absolutely probably the best player in the league at that exact role right now. Brian White, the hottest number 9 in MLS, scoring goals for fun. He's making it look easy out there. And then the team ball that they're playing to get him those chances has been excellent. Tristan Blackman, defender of the year candidate, scores that insane goal at the last second in Monterey. That really, that was like one of the team of destiny type moments of that CCC run so far. And then Jaden Nelson, obviously, had no idea that Jaden Nelson was one of the best wingers in MLS, but I guess that's a thing now as well. Out of like all of these breakouts, is there anyone that like stands out as the most significant or most unexpected? Like, did you see any of these coming, or is this just all out of nowhere?
Well, like Blackman last year, I don't know what it was. Vanny just didn't seem to rate him. Then he got an injury, and it was clear at training his head had gone down a little bit. He was a bit grumpy, didn't really want to chat. New lease of life under Jesper. So, I mean, that's maybe not been a surprise because we knew how good he was. But I genuinely feel just now we've got the best number 9 in Brian White, the best number 8 in Berhalter. Vite probably isn't the best in the league when a league's got Messi as a creative person. But I think we've got the best centre-back pairing. Ranko and Blackman together. They're really close off the pitch. And that carries on to the pitch. I just spoke to Ranko in our last show, and he said, we don't even need to communicate that much anymore. We know exactly what's expected of each other and where that person's going to be. But of all those guys, Pedro Vite. Now, Pedro was a frustrating player to me because he had the talent, but he didn't have the consistency. And I genuinely feel that Ryan Gauld's injury has helped Pedro Vite become the player that he now is, because he kind of played a secondary role to Gauld, whether that meant not starting or if they're playing together. Gauld's the playmaker. Now, Vite's that guy. He's the guy that's making everything tick. He's pulling all the strings. So when Gauld comes back, how do they coexist? I think when Gauld comes back, we're not going to see him in the 10. We're going to see him out wide. And we'll have like Pedro being still that creative guy. His contract is up at the end of the season. There is a new contract on the table. He hasn't signed it yet. He could walk away for free. That Roma were said to be interested, but the Whitecaps have said if they're interested, they haven't contacted us. But he could sign a pre-contract agreement. I hope he stays. There's a deal that I believe would make him like a maximum TAM player. So he could maybe be getting up to 1.7. So he'd be the second highest player on the team. He has to keep that consistency though. And if we can keep him to the end of the season and then lose him, fair enough. But if we can keep him and then build on what we're doing just now, I mean, this team could be strong for a number of years.
You hit on something there that I wanted to dig into more, which is that I think one of the most impressive parts of all of this is that it's been done pretty much all without Ryan Gauld, or Scottish Messi, as he's sometimes known. We call him Scottish Messi. But I was kind of wondering, like, when you have a team that's this hot and a player who's been a key player, the key player on the team, who is injured, it seems like, you don't want to mess with something that's working, right? And Pedro Vite is legitimately an MVP candidate, playing a relatively similar role that Ryan Gauld plays on this team when he's healthy. So are you concerned at all about, like, I was thinking more like Ryan Gauld, when he comes back, that's going to be a boon. Like, this team could get even better. But like, it sounds like you might have some concerns the other way, that Scottish Messi coming back could potentially be disruptive. Is that accurate?
Well, not really disruptive. I wonder how it affects Pedro, and it depends what role he gets. But I genuinely think that Gauld will play a different kind of role this year. He'll be out wide. It'll be kind of like a front three with White in the middle, Gauld in one wing, and then take your pick: Sabi, Nelson, Ali Ahmed. One of them will start each game. The other two will come off the bench. I don't think it will be disruptive. It will take him a couple of games to get fully up to speed. His knee, he keeps showing pain in it, so they don't want to rush him. My understanding is he will be good to go for the cup final on June 1st, but he obviously needs to get some minutes under his belt. You can't just throw him in to a cup final, especially in altitude in Mexico City. I don't think there'll be too much disruption, but as we kind of start to drop down to 1 game weeks, it's how you keep everyone happy, and it's how you keep everyone at the top of their levels. And I think that's going to be the really hard part for Sørensen.
Got Michael McColl from AFTN, Vancouver Whitecaps podcast, joining us to talk about the best team in Major League Soccer and potentially all of North America right now. Michael, we got a listener or a viewer question from chat here for you. Mr. GTHT asks, what is the status of the sale of the Whitecaps? How does this insane run of form affect the sale?
That is the $1 million question, or I should probably should say $500 million question, because that's apparently what our valuation is. Although when you see RSL, what they sold for, and that was like 3 facilities as well, which we don't own. There's no news, is the short answer. There are interested parties. We still believe the team will stay in Vancouver, but there, of course, isn't a guarantee. This run really helps that, because if you get the fans out, like packed out BC Place, yes, it's messy, but it was a very pro Whitecaps crowd. We were chatting a little bit about that before we started recording, and that was good. Folk will have gone away from that excited, and they'll then come to games. So we have to keep a good team on the pitch. We have to get the fans in the crowd to make somebody think, oh, yeah, we really need to keep this team in Vancouver. The great thing that it's done is it seems to have forced the city into working with the Caps to build a soccer-specific stadium. And that would be huge for us. And if they build that, you can't really see the team leaving. The downside for us is we don't have tangible assets. We partly own our training center, which is like state of the art, but we're only a partner in it. We don't own our own stadium. We've got a lot of American markets that should have and deserve to have an MLS team. And if they only add 2 more, there's going to be some big ones that miss out. Like Indianapolis, the rumors that Indy want the Whitecaps or any team will not go away. Phoenix should have a team. I think there's a strong case for San Antonio, Sacramento, and who knows, Detroit maybe even as well. But although the rumors are out there, I think a lot of it's coming from the Indianapolis side. Axel Schuster has always said, and for those that don't know, he's the Whitecap CEO, that the number one plan is to keep the team in Vancouver, and that is what they're striving to do. But it could be a process that takes a year to a year and a half.
I feel like with how this season has going, that really should reinforce how much the team needs to stay there. And I know everyone here is definitely rooting to keep this Cascadia trifecta fully intact. I mean, you never. I don't think you should ever have a team move in. Like if you look at what's happening with the Oakland A's or what happened with the Raiders, that just shouldn't happen. And if that happens to the Whitecaps, that would be disgraceful. But I hope, I really hope it doesn't. And I don't know if I don't want to jinx anything. If I had to predict it, they got to find a way to keep them in Vancouver. We did have another viewer question from Nick who's asking, how can we help keep the Caps in Vancouver? Is there anything that fans from other markets can do at all?
I mean, at this point, no. The Columbus to Austin thing back in the day was wonderful because it rallied everyone together. And my English team is AFC Wimbledon. And as soon as they kind of rose as a Phoenix club, I've been a member of the Don's Trust from over 20 years now. So I know what it's like to see a team move and have the heart ripped out of it. Now, if the Whitecaps were to move, they would probably restart. They'd probably be in the Canadian Premier League, but it's a big, big drop. But right now, it's just, I guess, tagging MLS and just saying you need to make sure that Vancouver Whitecaps do not leave the Vancouver market. And for fans in Vancouver, you need to get out and support the team.
We got another viewer question from KW that I think actually segues nicely into the next topic that I wanted to hit with you, which is CONCACAF Champions Cup. KW asks, how did the Caps avoid a similar disadvantage to that of the Columbus Crew when they are at the final? Sack lunches brought from home. Yeah, can't get poisoned. Can't get poisoned. That's goal number one for this trip. Yeah. Can't get poisoned. But anything else that you want to see as far as how they tackle a road trip like this strategically?
I mean, I think they will have learned a lot from what happened to the Crew last year. And I would imagine they'll bring their own chefs or like oversee stuff. I don't know. I still don't know what the plan is yet, because when they went down to play, let me get this right, Pumas, there's been so many games, but they went down to play Pumas. They traveled the day before, so they didn't get used to the altitude. They didn't train down there. And you saw it in the first 15, 20 minutes that they were overhitting passes. They were struggling a little bit. Then they found their feet. So I don't know what the plan is. Like if they travel the day before, then there's a lot less chance that something can go wrong. But you're not acclimatized to the altitude. Now, the thing is, we have a game on the 28th of May, and it's against Minnesota. So it's a big game. So that is on the Wednesday. And then the game's on the Sunday. So I thought that game would get called off, but the Whitecaps want to play it, which I still think is crazy. But they feel that they're in a groove, 2-game weeks. They've already kind of beaten Minnesota with a weakened team. They want to ride this while they're going. So if they do that, then they're definitely not traveling till at least the Friday. But I think they might end up just traveling on the Saturday. Media might dictate it. I guess CONCACAF might want folk there on the Saturday for pre-match press conferences or whatever, but it's just like being super careful. And what happened to the Crew last year was terrible. And if that happened to us, I think questions would need to be asked.
I do you think they got poisoned? Because I kind of do.
I do.
I literally like actually do.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, it's saying that like I've just been on a trip with my League One side, which is equivalent to USL 2, and the hotel we were staying in, we had to flag that the plates and the glasses that they gave us were like filthy. So it could just be bad hygiene in the hotel that's led to something. But it's like we were staying at a Hilton, and it's like, this is not acceptable. So it's little things like that. It could be something in the glasses and it wasn't intentional. And I don't want to put a tinfoil hat on, but it felt intentional.
It felt like something nefarious was afoot. You know, sometimes you can just kind of sense it, intuition. I think everyone got that got that feeling. I know the crew did. Michael, I wanted to talk to you about, obviously this CCC run that Vancouver's been on has been phenomenal, but I think among the most impressive things about it is how they have balanced it with the league season. I have never seen a team do this, to be making a legitimate run in CCC where they make it to a final, but not only have not missed a beat in league play, but our Supporters Shield frontrunners playing at above a 2 points per game pace. That shouldn't be possible in MLS. It hasn't been possible in MLS historically. We know out here, as well as anyone, what a CONCACAF Champions Cup run can do to your league season. The Sounders won CONCACAF Champions Cup famously, and then it tanks their league season entirely and they miss the playoffs. And there's just, multiple other examples throughout MLS history, not just affecting Seattle, but every single team. The storyline is always that if you're selling out for CCC, you are going to pay a price in league play that is baked in. It's not even like a question. It's just a matter of how bad it's going to be and how much you're going to mitigate it. How are they doing this? Like, not just staying afloat and holding their own in league play, but playing at a Shield pace while also making a CCC final. Shouldn't be possible. How is this happening?
It's depth. The depth is there. We don't have superstars. You could arguably say that, I guess we do now. Like Ryan Gauld is very, very good, but he's not what a lot of people would consider to be a superstar. Brian White as well. He's had 2 career seasons. We keep thinking, well, he can't have another one, and then he goes and has another one. But these are guys that they're hard working. There's no egos on the team. The locker room, they said this last year, and we've got to give Vanni Sartini a lot of credit. He's built the foundations to all of this. But the locker room, every single person and the new guys that come in all talk about this is the closest knit group they have ever been a part of. And it's just, they've all bought into what Jesper Sørensen wants to do. And they are, as I said earlier, all interchangeable. And you don't feel that the team is weakened. The only game we've lost in MLS was Chicago at home, which was played in the international break, where we had 4 or 5 guys away on international duty and a couple injured. So to lose that many, that's going to take a hit. But if you're just losing 1 or 2, there's enough quality and everyone knows what they need to do when they come in that we haven't missed a beat. Now, 7-point lead at the top after 11 games is like crazy. And I thought playoffs 48 to 50, and you're pretty much guaranteed that you're in. So we're halfway there. And we're just a third of the way through the season. So it also gives us some wiggle room. There will be a drop-off. Jesper Sørensen's already said this isn't sustainable. He's not like somebody that's going to get swept along with this. He knows there'll be a dip. It'll probably come in July when the Gold Cup's on. We're going to lose players to that, possibly to the American squad now as well as the Canadian. You have to think White and Berhalter will be in the conversation, if not in the squad. So we are going to lose a lot of players in July. We're on the road for most of July. That's when we'll wobble. So I think that is also partly why they want to play this Minnesota game before the final, ride this hot streak while they're hot, and then when the dip comes, deal with that when it comes.
See, I've been waiting for the dip. I've been waiting for the dip all season, and it just there is no dip. Like I think what Jesper Sørensen is saying and what you're saying is probably correct. Like, you can't play 2.3, 2.4 points per game for an entire season. I don't even know what that would put you at, like 88 points or something. I don't like, nothing like that has ever been done. But I think we are definitely at the point between CCC and how far it is into the league season that there's definitely no part of this that's like a fluke or a flash in the pan. Like, this is one of the elite teams in the league right now, which has been it's been wild to witness, I think, for anyone who follows the league. It's not what anyone expected. How are you feeling about this CCC final? Just the fact that the club is in it, obviously uncharted territory, and then their prospects of actually winning it. Because I'll be honest, like I love their chances of winning it, even if it's on the road. Cruz Azul, Seattle played them in CCC and beat them pretty bad in the second leg, but it was actually relatively competitive until it got away from Seattle, like past the 80th minute. But I didn't see anything from them that made me feel like they were way better than what this Whitecaps team is. If anything, if this was at BC Place, Vancouver would be a heavy favorite, I think. So just how are you feeling about the weight of the opportunity, but then also the club's prospects of actually seeing this out and getting it done?
I mean, it was so close, 10 minutes away from being at BC Place, which is like so frustrating in itself. I'm confident. I went down to that second leg in Miami totally confident because I knew if we got the away goal, the tie was over. Now, obviously, there's no away goals in the final. You're on home turf, although at the same time, it's not Cruz Azul's regular stadium, but they are used to it because they're playing there this year. I watched the Seattle games. I watched the semis against Tigres. They're very good. They were the better team in their semi-final. They deserved to go through, but they didn't look world beaters. I don't think they're the toughest team we're going to have faced on this run. And in a single game, like anything genuinely can happen. Losing Berhalter is a massive blow, but if we get Gauld back, even if Pedro Viti drops into Berhalter's like role, then possibly we're even stronger. I don't know, but I am very confident about this. I'm still confident about the league as well. What I would say, as good as Vancouver have been, and like we've made teams look bad. We made Miami look bad. We made Minnesota look bad with a fringe squad that was out there. But we've got to be honest, the MLS West this year has not been good.
No.
And we've capitalized on that. And these early points in the bag are absolutely massive because they're like Seattle's now turned it around. Seattle were my tip to be first in the West. And I thought they'd be challenging for the Supporters' Shield. And I still think they're going to have a very good run and they'll be right up there with Vancouver at the end of the season. But these other teams will just go out and spend and bring money in or bring players in. And the Whitecaps now, we probably need to add one or two pieces just to keep everything good. The advantage of being first, and if we win the Champions Cup, you know that we've got the FIFA Intercontinental Cup in December. So players might be like, well, I wouldn't mind playing in that. And Club World Cup in 2029, which is crazy to even be talking about. But I don't know. I'm confident for the final. I think we can do it. And if we do it, I think it really opens everything up for us to strengthen, to bring in bigger quality talent, and then just see where that takes us.
Derek Richards coming in with the $5 super sticker. Thank you, man. Appreciate you. You're a maniac. We got more viewer questions for you, Michael. If you can take these, appreciate everyone submitting these. This is good stuff. Jake is wondering, are Ryan Gauld and Brian White projected to play either Minnesota or Cruz Azul?
If Gauld's fit, he'll definitely be playing Cruz Azul. White as well. The Minnesota game, I would imagine like Rios gets the start, and if needed, White will come off the bench. He's rested White and other players in games before, but he still likes to get them 10 or 15 minutes just so that they're moving about and just they're not just sitting freezing up their muscles on the bench. He likes to just get them involved. So I think we'll see Gauld and White at some point in the Minnesota game. Would not expect him to start.
Zach is wondering, how is the current political climate in the USA affecting away supporters' willingness to travel to the States? Any anthem booing at BC Place?
There has been anthem booing. It's dying down. It's nowhere near as much as it was initially. I mean, the whole situation, it's horrible. I'm still going down to the US. Anyone that knows me knows I love the Oregon coast. I go down there 2, 3, 4 times a year with my wife and the dog. We tie it around the Cascadia games. So I still going down. I don't think you can blame the people in a country just because the president's political ideas maybe aren't great and hurt in Canada. Now, I fully understand those that don't want to travel, but if I didn't go, I'd be punishing myself. And there are fans that have traveled. There was like over 300 went down to Miami. So I think if it's a big game, they'll travel. But in general, for like day shopping or vacations, they're not traveling for that.
Interesting. Michael, I only had a couple more that I wanted to hit with you, and then I'll let you go. Thank you so much for the time this evening. We got Michael McColl from AFTN. I do want to ask you, how much Scottish Premiership do you follow? Are you pretty into that league, or are you not?
I watch the highlights. There's a BBC show called Sports Scene, so I watch that on BBC iPlayer through my VPN. My team in Scotland's in the 4th tier, Scottish League 2.
Okay.
We were top and we were going to win it, and then we've blown it, despite having 5 players in the team of the season and a 30-goal scorer. It looks like we're not even going to go up through the playoffs now. But I do watch the Premiership.
Well, so the reason I ask is because the Seattle Sounders have a new character by the name of Ryan Kent, who played for Rangers for about 5 years and was an excellent player in the Scottish Premiership. And he came here on a free transfer in a bit of a odd spot in his career. He had a falling out with Jose Mourinho in Turkey. And he had some injury issues as well, and really hasn't played that many competitive games in the last couple years. So it was kind of a speculative ad using the space freed by Paul Arriola's season-ending ACL tear. And honestly, none of us knew what to expect. And his first 2 games looked really good, but it was brief cameo appearances. You couldn't really tell exactly how good he was. People were excited, but it hadn't popped yet. And then Seattle's last game against St. Louis was about as good an individual performance as I've seen a Sounders player put together in a while. And I think it really ratcheted up the excitement level around the player, but also for the season on what he can bring to this team, because he just looked that dynamic. I mean, did you see him at all on Rangers or follow his career at all when he was over there?
I mean, he was excellent with Rangers. The Scottish Premier, outside of Rangers and Celtic, you've maybe got 2 really strong teams, and the rest, pretty much every team in MLS would beat them on a regular basis. So the quality's not there. I was stunned when you guys brought him in, because I didn't really think he was like an MLS, definitely not an MLS starter, but I'm not even sure that I saw him as that quality, because he was good in the Premiership, but it was on a team where most weeks you're going to win quite comfortably. But he's
right, that is true, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he has impressed me, and I still don't think he's an MLS starter, but maybe it just needs, it's like we've got guys like JC and Gando that you would never have thought, oh, he's now really pushing for a starting spot. He was in the USL last season. So sometimes guys can come into a new environment and just reignite all the best aspects of their career. And I think you might see that with Kent.
Yeah, see, like I didn't know what to expect either. Like I was going into it with an open mind, like whether he's a starter or not. But I'll say that if he plays at the level that he showed in this last game, which obviously I don't know if he can sustain that level, but he definitely has the look of an impact player in the league, and I'm just hoping he keeps it up. We'll see if he can. But he was doing stuff out there just so creative, so dynamic that we all here are like, oh, whoa, okay. But anyway, shifting gears back to Vancouver Whitecaps and CCC, I guess to close it out here, just what's this experience been like for you getting to cover a team like this? I mean, you've been on the Whitecaps beat for as long as anybody. You've covered a lot of seasons that have gone all kinds of different ways, but nothing like this. So this is, you got to be having a great time. Like, out here, I've been fortunate enough to cover some really good teams that have gone on some really good magical runs, and it always makes it a lot more fun. But what's it just been like for you to get to experience covering not just like a good team or one of the better teams in the league, but the actual clear-cut, no question about it, best team in the league, the Vancouver Whitecaps?
Very enjoyable. It's like when we do a lot, we do our shows, we write. It's the same with everyone around MLS and all the other sort of soccer podcasts around the world. And here in Vancouver, we have struggled. 2015 was probably our best season. We lost to the Timbers in the conference semis. We shouldn't have. It was just horrible tactics. And we all felt, and I still feel, that was our year that we could have won the MLS Cup. And I'm not going to lie, it's like you look at Seattle and you're envious. It's like what you guys have done, what you guys have achieved. MLS Cup, winning the Champions Cup, constantly making the playoffs, constantly going deep in the playoffs, reaching other MLS Cups. And then there's envy, because it's like, why am I watching a team that just seems to never be competitive at that top level? I'm just making the most of this ride. Like, if you had told me at the start of the year that in May you'd be flying to Miami 1 week, and then I was in Winnipeg, I'm just back today following my League One team in the Cup, which if we'd won that, we would have been playing the Whitecaps, which...
Oh, wow.
Yeah, two-legged tie. That would not have gone well against an amateur team. But and now, like, flying down to Mexico City in a couple of weeks, I'm just here loving it. I've supported the team, covered the team, written about the team since 2008 and pre-MLS days. And my first year here, we won the USL Championship. And then it's all been downhill since that. So if we can win anything this year, I mean, it's just going to be remarkable. And it makes what we do easier when you're enjoying what you're doing. When it's all doom and gloom, it's not fun.
Yeah, no, I'm happy for you, man. You've earned this, and yeah, I mean, live it up, make the most of it. You get to go to a Concacaf Champions Cup final in Mexico. That's honestly so sick. Michael, that is all I had for you tonight. Thank you so much for the time. But before we get you out of here, could you tell our audience just about the work that you guys are doing at AFTN, and if you have anything that you want to plug or shill as far as your coverage of the team this season or of the Champions Cup final, please go right ahead. The floor is yours.
Well, you can find everything on aftn.ca. I've kind of moved away from the written stuff the last couple of years. I'm trying to get more back into writing stuff and getting more writers on. So I've been concentrating on the podcast. We're the longest running English language soccer podcast in Canada, going since 2013. We would be the longest overall, but a French one started a week before us, which is really irritating, because otherwise we'd be the longest running soccer podcast in Canada. But yeah, you'll just find all our stuff, aftn.ca. We cover the game from grassroots level all the way up to the national team, and very long podcasts, 3 hours usually. And that is too long for a podcast, I know, but I like to talk.
Yeah, no, you guys do great work covering the Whitecaps, have for many years, and now you're covering the greatest team I've ever watched play the sport. So that's pretty cool. Michael, thank you so much for the time tonight. We'll get you back on when these two teams play. Usually I've been doing guests that cover the team that Seattle is about to play, but I was like, you know what? I got to talk some Caps. I got to figure out what's going on with this team. So thank you so much for giving me and our audience that insight. And yeah, we'll be in touch soon. Enjoy the CCC final.
I hope to, and I'll see you in June, because I'm planning to come down for some of the Club World Cup games.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Well, then I'll see you there. Let me know when you're inbound.
Will do.
All right. Have a good night, Michael. Take care. That was Michael McColl of AFTN, Vancouver Whitecaps podcast. Really appreciate his time. I feel like I have a better understanding of exactly what's gone down there this season, how they became the greatest team we've ever seen. And yeah, still enjoying. Hopefully you guys are enjoying these weekly interviews that I've been setting up, and really trying to learn as much as I can about the rest of this league and what's going on with all these clubs week to week. And the depths of my MLS knowledge has become truly disturbing. Zach Lewis coming in with the $1.99 super chat. Thank you for the support. See you June 8th at Vancouver Away. Is that when Seattle plays there? I might try and go to that this year. I used to go to every game at BC Place, and I don't think I went. I didn't go last year, but it's always a fun trip. Vancouver is an awesome city, and BC Place, they don't pack all 27K every week, but like they get pretty good crowds, and the atmospheres are always really good. So I might try and do that one this year. All right, let's get into some Seattle Sounders. You guys want to get into some Seattle Sounders? I got a lot of other stuff to get to tonight. So let's get into that. Let's hit this from Lex before we get into this. Bit of in-person feedback. Could not hear a thing you said in person while at Watershed. Would have loved to have been able to hear you guys do the show in person. Yeah, sorry about that. It's a bit of a tough setup at Starfire, and we don't have like PA mics. I honestly don't know all the tech that would go into what would have made us audible for the people that were actually at Watershed. We got little like ear things so we could hear ourselves, but the first time we did it, like I could barely hear myself. So we'll try and perfect the tech behind the live show. We're still kind of learning how to do that. I'm sure some of you might have noticed that the connection at Starfire was a little dodgy. We had a mishap where a dongle was forgotten that would have helped us get a better connection. But we'll figure all that stuff out. We'll get the live shows to a point where people that are actually there can hear us. Because yeah, I mean, point taken. Like people that were that came to like see us record the show, and then you can't hear anything. Sorry, but we're still learning the tech. And yeah, hopefully we had people say that despite not being able to hear the actual show, that just the vibe was great as far as just the whole event. And let's talk about that, because that was the first thing I wanted to talk about. Thank you to everyone who came out and said hi to us after the show, before and after the show. It was great to meet all of you. We've had a great time both times that we've gone out there for these games. And then the game itself, they almost did it. They almost did it to him. They should have done it to him. Going into that game, my biggest hope was just that they would be competitive. Make these guys sweat it. You know, if you lose, you lose. But make these guys sweat it. And not only did they make them sweat it, not only were they competitive, they were in phenomenal position to win that game. They were down 1-0 at the half. Halftime response, excellent. Came out firing, get 2 goals. Osaze de Rosario gets one of them. And the crowd was just going off. You could kind of sense in the building, people were really realizing as soon as the second goal went in, like, this is on the table. This is actually on the table. I really, we did predictions during the live show, and I was trying to be, not predict like what I want to happen, but what I actually think will happen. And there's never been a situation like this where Next Pro side has played an MLS first team. So we had no really frame of reference. So if you just ask me any MLS Next Pro side versus an MLS first team, I don't think I'm ever going to pick the MLS Next Pro side. So again, my mentality with it was more just like, be competitive. And, oh man, they almost won that. They almost won that. And you know what? I will say this. If that game has VAR, I think they do win that. I seriously think they win that, because the ref let a penalty kick shout go just a few minutes before Portland tied it. I actually haven't seen the replay of it, but I remember what I saw live. And that one that he let go, that the Timbies did to Defiance, I think that looked like a PK to me. I'm not just saying that. I thought that was a PK. Thought that was pretty stone cold. And I mean, I think the problem I have with the call is like, I don't know. I didn't see the one that he got Georgie for, but it's like, you can't call that and then not call the other one. Apparently I always say when I've been complaining about the refs a lot the last few weeks. I always say I'm not the ref guy. I guess I'm the ref guy. I'm the crash out about the ref guy. Every week I get on here and I just have my list of grievances. That first one, if you're going to call the one on Georgie, the other one's got to be called too. That's what I think. But just the fact that it was coming down to margin type penalty kick calls like that, it was great. The team played great. And watching the Portland Timbies have to sweat that out. They were playing for their careers and their reputations out there. That's exactly what I wanted them to have to do. You could tell that the possibility of losing was in their head a little bit. You could tell. And just they were going so hard because they knew that they couldn't let it happen. And then they got bailed out. They had to get bailed out to beat an MLS Next Pro side. VAR, they probably lose to an MLS Next Pro side. I haven't heard many, if any, Timbies fans chirping that much about it. I don't know if any of you who were at the game had similar or had different experiences and you heard them yucking it up about it. But just in case there are any, here's what I'll say. Why don't you put T2 against Seattle's first team? See what happens. See what happens. It's an alpha move to get that close to beating your rival with your developmental side. The Timbies could not do that. I will tell you guys right now, they couldn't, because they're one of the teams in the league that puts the least kind of priority on youth development. Like, think about it. Who's like a big homegrown first team contributor that they've developed in-house? Marco Farfan, who doesn't play for them anymore and is like, I consider him like pretty much bang average MLS fullback. They have not gotten their youth development to a point where they're churning out first team players. If T2 played Seattle's first team, I don't care what the venue is. It would not go like that. They would not, Seattle's first team would not be sweating that one out. They wouldn't. They would destroy T2. So if anyone, I don't think any fan in their right mind would chirp barely winning against an MLS Next side on very dicey PK officiating. I don't think they're flexing on it that much. The young CBs were stellar. Stu Hawks, give him MLS minutes. I thought the whole team was great, man. Georgie was absolutely destroying them out there. That period where Defiance scored the 2 goals, Georgie was just going off. It was great. Georgie was going off. Snyder Burnell, I thought, was excellent. Osaze got his goal, got signed. We're going to talk about that. Cody Baker looked great during warmups, by the way. It was too bad he couldn't play. He couldn't play in that game. That would have been a great Cody Bakes game. But it was good to see RBW out there. I thought RBW looked good. Andy T was doing his thing out there. Andy T got fouled, by the way, on the Timbies' first goal. With VAR, that first goal probably comes off. I'm not blowing smoke. That's just literally look at the play. That goal probably gets the Timbies' goals in this game were a set piece where they fouled the goalkeeper and it didn't get called, and then an equalizer, that was a good goal. That was a good goal. Good delivery, good header. But then a PK that was dodgy at best and also came on the heels of a stone cold PK that they should have been called for at the other end. It was a tough ending. Just because of how close they were. And I was at least, like, I was thinking of it like, all right, this is going to extra time. they actually are about to take the Timbies to extra time. And then that PK call at the end was just like, it was sad. It was sad. You wanted it for him. It would have been so good. And they got so close, man. If they had gotten a run in that game, no one would have really said anything. But I guess it wasn't to be. Just the fact that they were that competitive is a moral W, in my opinion, in and of itself. Like I said, making him sweat it that much, making them have to play for their lives out there against a bunch of 17-year-olds. It's great. It was awesome. It kind of brings up the whole discussion we were having of like whether Defiance should have been playing in this tournament in the first place. I thought the way it worked out was cool. I know everyone wants to see Seattle's first team in that tournament, and I don't disagree with that. But I thought having Defiance in it this year was pretty fun. I did. Bad Sequels, $2 super sticker. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Genuinely not nervous once during the game, which felt weird. Exactly. I was like at the very start. Like I had that it was early game butterflies, but as soon as it hit like the 10 to 15 minute mark and it was still pretty even and back and forth, I was like, all right, they're up for this. They're up for this moment. And they absolutely were. I think it's a great sign. And like more than that, it's like that type of experience in a game like that is invaluable for a young player. It's invaluable. There's no substitute for actually playing in a game like that with that type of stuff on the line. That's why, I mean, you can argue whether it's better to have Seattle's first team or whatever, but in terms of just like pure developmental aspect of it, that's so good for those players to get a game like that under their belt and experience what that's like playing in an elimination game against a first team rival. That is phenomenal experience. That leads me to the bit of Sounders news that dropped today. Osaze de Rosario signed. First team contract with the Sounders. Sorry, I'm pulling up the Sounder Heart report to screen share. Osaze de Rosario signs first team contract with the Sounders. Scored 10 goals in 8 competitive matches this year. So he's Cristiano Ronaldoing in MLS Next Pro. Just scored against the Timbies. And I think that this was coming because Jordan Morris is out pretty long term, 6 weeks with this hamstring injury, and they behind Moose they don't really have a like for like. We've talked about that a lot with Jesus Ferreira playing the kind of a pure number 9 role. It's not really been his thing. So they needed a body there. And Osaze has earned it. He's earned it. He's banging in goals in MLS Next Pro. And his performances, like just outside of the stat sheet production, his performances have been really good. He seems like a very smart striker, guy who gets himself in good positions. I know he missed the sitter against St. Louis, but we've made the point. That's where you want him. That's where you want him standing. You want him to kick it into the goal instead of above it, but he was in a good spot, good movement. It's a good sequence by the whole team there. So I'm interested to see what he can do. See if you may as well find out if you've got an MLS player. This is a good opportunity to do it. Good signing. You need someone to give Moose a rest, even if it's for 15 minutes a game. Yeah, like you can't you can't have Moose play every minute of every game. He's going to be playing a lot. Moose is the most important player on the team right now, as has been documented on this show. But Osaze is going to play. As long as Jordan's out, I think they're definitely going to find spots to get him run. They have to. And I think it'll be good for them to find out what they have, because this is the type of thing where if you develop a player like this and it hits, it's such a great advantage. It's such a great leg up. Osaze is not technically a homegrown, but he is coming up through Defiance. So I think your point stands. It's not like he came up through the youth academy. They brought him in from the Canadian Premiership. But it would be cool to have a number 9 who started with the MLS Next team, work their way up and actually become like a reliable number 9 at the MLS level, any type of reliable number 9 at the MLS level. That'd be huge. It means that maybe money that you would have had to spend on that, you don't anymore, right? So let's see what he's got. I mean, his dad, D-Row was about as good an MLS player as I can name. MLS legend. If Moose has taught us anything, missing sitters equals future 4 goals in 4 games. Exactly. Sometimes you have to miss a few sitters in order to make your sitters. That's not a saying, but I just made it one. How about Osaze's story? Came up the hard way, even with his dad. Yeah, if you read J.O.'s little profile he wrote on him in Sounder at Heart, he talks about that. It wasn't like necessarily a linear path. He's had to fight through a lot of adversity to get to where he's at, and he's a good player. How chill is it that he's going to get some revenge against Portland in the next couple of weeks? Put him in the game. I'm so curious to see how this road trip goes, just in general. Like, this is such a difficult part of the schedule that ordinarily you go into it and you're like, I would ordinarily say that 4 points, like 1-1-1, if you get out of it with that, that's honestly pretty good. But with how the team has been playing the last few weeks, they're in good form. Moose is the hottest non-Brian White number 9 in MLS. And Ryan Kent looked like the greatest player alive against St. Louis. So I'm not saying they're going to that they should 3-0-0 this road trip. Obviously, that would be ideal, but I guess I'm hoping for a 1-0-2. I would take that. I'll take a little 1-0-2, and maybe a little 2-0-1. And I think when we're talking about how attainable that might be, this Houston game is actually pretty big. You got LAFC and Portland coming up on the back-to-back after this Houston game. If you can pick off this Houston game to start it off, that checks off one of the biggest. It's like your biggest opportunity to get a win here, I think. LAFC away is always tough. Portland away is obviously always tough. Neither of those teams are at their like apex form. I don't think LAFC really has been so far this year. And the Timbies got really hot for the last few weeks before their last game, but their last game, the San Jose Earthquakes destroyed them. So they're a little wounded right now. Maybe more vulnerable than I would have thought. I was and still am I don't know if concerned is the right word, but I was thinking that they might just have one of the best offenses in the league, which they might. They might, but watching them get destroyed by the Quakes gave me like a little bit of reassurance that, all right, it's still the Timbies. It's still the Timbies. They'll play well for stretches. They'll score a bunch of goals, but they're liable to give up 3 or 4 goals in any given game. Seattle once scored 6 at Providence Park, famously. And derby games, it really doesn't matter. Like, nothing matters in a derby game. Everything else goes out the window. If this team is going to be top 2 in the West, 1-0-2 is bare minimum. Yeah, I think 1-0-2 would be my low bar for this. 2-0-1. 2-0-1 is what I'm looking for. Let's see if they can do it. Let's see if they can get a little 2-0-1. I mean, if they can do the 3-0-0, that would be sick. But just, with the knowledge that would be really hard to do. That would be, I mean, if they win all 3 of these, that would be a pretty impressive little accomplishment, given how fast these games are, like how close the turnaround is and all the travel and all that. We've not watched the Craig presser yet, Pat. We're going to get to that. Actually, that was the next thing that I have coming up. So we're going to hit that in just a minute here. Going to hit a couple other questions in chat here first, though, before we do that. The Rothrock Kent drama is going to be super fun this season. We're going to talk about that too. Good reminder, actually, because I had this planned but forgot to put it on my outline. We're going to listen to some Paul Rothrock sound. He had a really good interview at training this week where he talked about kind of his journey in a way that I hadn't really, like his journey from last year to this year, that I hadn't really heard him talk about in that way before. So, and he talks about like what impact having a player like Ryan Kent coming in and competing for his minutes can have. So we'll get into that. I don't really see it as drama because, I mean, my thing is like, it's fine. It's fun to debate, the lineup week to week, or what it should look like, who should start, who should be the starter, and who should be the backup. But in this league, like, everyone plays. Like, we're seeing that this season. Just with how physically demanding it is and how many injuries you invariably get. Like, Ryan Kent and Paul Rothrock will both be getting their minutes. Without a doubt. I'm really not concerned about Ryan Kent like cutting into Rothrock's role on the team. Rothrock is one of the most important players on the team, irrespective of Ryan Kent's presence. And with how many games they're playing this year, with how crazy the schedule in this league gets at times, they will both be playing a lot. And the good thing for Rothrock is that he's been playing really well lately. He's been contributing to this resurgent run of form that the team has been experiencing in recent weeks. I thought even in the St. Louis game, maybe not the end product that we know and love from Paul Rothrock, but he won the penalty, and he's just a menace. He's just a menace. Healthy Albert and healthy Jesus. We start Jesus. I mean, I would expect that to be your take, Reese. But I will say, I mean, Noah and I were talking about it. I really thought that of all the players that Ryan Kent appeared to be a force multiplier for, Rusnak was up there. Like, I thought the way they were playing together looked great. I mean, that was the look for that entire insane second half where they racked up most of their 4.47 XG was with that look. So I want to see more of that. That was the best chance creation I've seen from a Sounders team in a minute. So whatever they got to do, I got no skin in the game as to who's technically starting, as long as it looks something like what we saw against St. Louis. I just want to see that. I just want to see that. See, it was all Kent in a way, but what I'm saying is like what that did is it made everyone else better. I don't think that just applies to Rusnak. We talked about it, but I thought Obed looked incredible with Ryan Kent on the field. I thought Nuhu. I think part of why Nuhu looked that good was Ryan Kent, like the way that they were combining. Obviously, Ryan Kent got him the assist on the goal, which, I mean, I guess that's how good he is. You know how good you have to be at soccer to create a Nuhu goal like that? That was unbelievable. To be honest, I don't see Paul Rothrock being in as much danger as Georgie in terms of Kent coming in. People have literally said Kent is like a more polished Georgie. Yeah, I think that's a good way of describing it. And also, I mean, I think we've already seen that Georgie's been the one that's more affected by it. And I don't really think that's even a knock on Georgie or how he's played this year. I think Georgie has looked really good at times this year, but in theory with Ryan Kent, with what we've seen and just his pedigree that he brings, the experience that he has compared to Georgie, I think you're probably looking at like more consistent week to week performances than you're getting from Georgie at this point. And I think Rothrock has been a very consistent player as well. But, you know, Georgie got on the field in the St. Louis game. They were already ahead, but I think there will still be minutes for him here and there. But I think if there's anyone that it might affect, it's probably him. All right. Let's get to this Craig Waibel interview. This was, I don't know where, it wasn't like at their usual media spot. I think they just gave them to a few of the people on the beat to talk about Defiance stuff. So I might skip around this a little bit. It's pretty long. I don't know if we need to watch the whole thing, but I'm going to play the parts where I'm going to let Craig Wibes riff on Defiance a little bit. And then I thought the real interesting stuff was when he's talking about how they're going to use the U22. He gives like a little update on how they're thinking about it. So I'm going to pull that up right now. Let me know if you guys can't hear this, but you should be able to. I'm going to play this, and then I'm going to go fill my water up.
What is your assessment of some of the talent that you witnessed yesterday from the Tacoma Defiance?
Oh, I mean, it was a great game. I'd say overall we had the better of the chances and probably just didn't reward ourselves with the win. But I'm really proud of quite a few of the guys. I actually don't think anyone underperformed on the field, and we had a couple guys stand out. And I think Snyder Brunel in the middle. And that's a big task when you're playing against an MLS team. But several guys. I mean, obviously goal scoring is important, but you go back into the defensive line, and they handled every bit of that. And barring a few missed opportunities for the official, I think that result could have been different.
Kelvin Kelsey's a guy that's probably worth more than most of the guys that were on that field for the Tacoma Defiance side.
Yeah.
And you guys were able to limit it. How important is that for you guys?
Yeah. I mean, look, I think they threw out over 400 or 500 MLS starts and well over, 10 to 11 million dollar players. And so, when you match that up, I think we look at the competitively, we take care of ourselves first. Right. And so, what we were asking of our guys was to go out, stand up, get your shoulders square, and treat yourselves the way you deserve to be treated, which is you belong here. And for the most part, our body language was fantastic from the whistle. And I think that's what carried us through. The guys went out and they played the game they've been playing week in and week out with Defiance. They combined well. Some of the chances last night were absolutely fantastic. We didn't get every finish. Of course, we want every half chance and full chance to be a goal, but overall, it's a 10 out of 10 in terms of performance.
In terms of players this was a particularly big test. We've been talking a lot about, Georgie having the final ball. We've been talking about how Osaze would look when he's going up against MLS talent.
Yep.
Sukanome, it's kind of the same thing.
Kaito, Stewart,
Yeah,
Hawkins,
you gotta go down the
got to play.
Yeah, right.
Travian says it. Yeah, Reed Baker Whiting on his first game back. Like, good opportunities for these guys.
And so developmentally, do you think it would? Is it one of those kind of like A+, like you just don't really have notes developmentally almost?
Well, from my perspective, I usually walk away from those games with like, oh, this one or two players stood out. Last night was really collective, and it was a phenomenal night in terms of development from a sounder perspective. As I told the coaching staff last night after the game, you can't ask your guys to do more than they did, and so the preparation was obvious. The preparation was clear. The game plan was clear. It was executed very, very well to 5 or 6 really, really good scoring chances. So to get to walk away in my position saying, well, usually I have 1 or 2 guys that I can focus on and walk away and go, that collectively and individually was above standard and quite competitive against that group was, it's a good day for us.
All right. Let me see if I can. I forgot to take the timestamp on this, so I'm just going to look for a sec. Hold on.
If there was a need to sign somebody from the Defiance side, how much would that affect what you're looking into bringing in the summer window or with that 10-day period?
None. No. Players that are with Defiance on Defiance contracts, even if they're signed, there has to be a continued pathway of development. It's not a clean jump from MLS Next Pro to MLS. It is still a process to get there. And so even when we sign players, it comes with an elongated process and plan. You see it right now with Stuart Hawkins. He was very good last night against that Portland team. That was his first time playing against top level pros in an actual match, as opposed to MLS Next Pro, where there's some, not all. If you're on the road, it's different than if you're at home and all that good stuff. So it all comes with a plan, but it won't impact any of the senior roster decisions.
And Yamada is an interesting situation because he's here on loan. He's on a first division, owned by a first division team. How would you assess, or how would you describe the way you're looking at him specifically? Is he just here to get minutes, or is there a pathway? Is that complicated? I don't know. How would you describe that?
What I would say is there aren't very many guys on the Defiance roster that are just here for minutes or to fill. The guys that are know they are, because we've told them, and they've accepted that role. He is a player that we're evaluating. We have him on loan for a reason, because we rated him before he got here, and he's done very, very well. So we'll continue to evaluate. It's early in the year, but he's been impressive so far.
And I would feel a little remiss if we didn't ask, how would you describe the status of the pursuit of a U22?
It's challenging. One of the things I've learned, it's been humbling over the last 3 months, is we're a really good league. And so one of the biggest challenges is finding a 21-year-old that can come in and impact our team and actually play. So not just go spend money to spend money and do an interview with you guys in a month where I'm explaining why that player isn't playing at all, but to go get a player that can contribute. And what we're finding is the level of our league, it commands a very significant spend in order to attract the type of player. And what we're also finding is a lot of the players that have the ability to come to MLS now and contribute immediately are choosing top 5 leagues, because we're not that far behind. We're probably at 9, 10, 11 in the World League now. And so big separation between us and the top 5, 6 in terms of finances and prestige. But it's a big challenge. But we're in a lot of conversations. We've approached 12, 13, 14 guys, and sometimes it comes down to the money. We do have restrictions with our U22 rules in MLS. Sometimes it comes down to earnings, sometimes it's transfer fees, and sometimes it's personal choice. But we've been in a lot of fun conversations, I will tell you that, because we're not getting in conversations with players that we don't think can contribute. We're not really interested in signing a reserve. I've said it before, and I'm very much lacking interest in spending money on a player that's going to sit and watch games.
When you look at the roster build, do you feel like there is a position like, let's say, striker that is definitely going to be where you're going to be hitting that U22, or is there still conversations about where you're going to use that U22?
Yeah, I'd say there's a goal and then there's a reality, right? So anytime you're going to go pick up a player, you're going to target the positions that are naturally the most important on the field. And so that's where we've been focusing a lot of our energy. But in fairness to a couple guys here, they're making us reevaluate that strategy because guys like Danny Muzowski are making us second guess whether or not that's something we need, and fair play to him, so it frees us up to go look at some other players in some significant positions as well.
And we can't have you here without asking you about Ryan Kent. I mean, you were able to turn a bad situation into what could look like a X-factor player and a game-changing player here. First of all, how proud of you of that, and what have you seen out of Ryan Kent for now and for the potential future?
Yeah, proud of the group. I don't do any of this on my own. It's far from it. So, the conversations that Sean Henderson was able to have with Ryan Kent, Andy Rose introducing us to Ryan Kent directly because they had a little bit of overlap in their careers. It all adds up. But credit to Ryan for stepping out of his comfort zone and coming here and fitting in. And to be fair, everywhere in the world, great players show up, and not everywhere in the world do they then perform. That has a lot to do with locker rooms. It has a lot to do with coaches. It has a lot to do with tactics, but mostly it has to do with the individual and how they fit and whether or not they're happy. So from the looks of it, Ryan's happy, and that's the goal.
All right, that was Craig Wipes covering a lot of ground there, talking about Tacoma Defiance and Ryan Kent there at the end. But what I wanted to talk about was the update he gave on the U22 search. So he reiterated what he's been saying, which is that whatever player that we land on to fill this spot, it's not the idea is not for it to be a developmental spot. It's for we need someone that can contribute, that's going to play, elevate the level of the group, which is a challenge. And he was talking about how it's challenge getting a player like that to come to MLS compared to other leagues. It's a player that's that young with the type of upside to contribute like he's talking about. It's hard to convince those players to come to MLS. LAFC, what they did with David Martinez is a good example of that is very difficult to do. And even David Martinez, for as good as he is and the upside that he's showed, he's not, I don't know how consistent he's been as far as like really week in, week out, helping carry the full load for that team. I mean, he's had some incredible moments. He's clearly of this mold. I think he's the most talented. We saw it when the Sounders played LAFC, and he ran down half the damn field through every single Seattle player that was in his path, and he scored a goal. That was one of the sickest goals I've seen in MLS this season, and that was by a 19-year-old. But the trick is you got to find a player of that profile, of that age, and then convince him to come here. So that's what they're trying to do right now. But what I did think was interesting is that he said that they've been involved in a lot of fun conversations. So that means they're on the hunt. And if he's calling it a fun conversation, then I think that means that they at least are thinking that these guys that they are scouting up and talking to, they've talked to guys that they think, all right, if we actually could convince this guy to come here, we think he could contribute. So what I want to do with this is this kind of got me thinking like about just the general hit rate of U22s since this mechanism has been introduced to the league. How difficult is it or not difficult for teams to find players like this, get them to the league, and have them move the needle, contribute week in, week out? And luckily, MLSsoccer.com has a list of every U22 that I'm about to share right now. So what I wanted to do is look at this list And I already looked at it a little bit, but with you guys, I wanted to go through this this list and see how many of these guys are actual impact players or even look like they can be impact players. You see the picture right here, Diego Luna. That's an example of, I mean, he is carrying the load for Real Salt Lake. But I'll tell you guys, I went into this little exercise thinking that the hit rate was going to be extremely low. Because if you think about it, players come into this league from overseas, like, it's kind of a crapshoot anyway. And then when you take players of this profile who have less and less experience, it would stand to reason that the hit rate would be inherently lower, right? That's how I was thinking of it. But I will say, before we look at these names, on first glimpse at it, I was actually like, okay, there are actually more guys on here that I would have thought that have been good, that have actually meaningfully contributed, and in some cases moved the needle a lot. So let's take a look without further ado. Let's see. Can I zoom in on this? Oh my God. It still won't let me zoom. All right. So you guys aren't going to be able to see this that well. Okay, there. That's a little better. That's a little better. Can you guys see that? Maybe I can get it a little even more. There we go. Okay. Okay. So that's how you do it. Good to know. See, I'm learning the tech here. All right. Yeah, the Control Plus, it like doesn't let you do it anymore. Okay. So let's start with Atlanta United. I don't know if this list is like fully up to date of all guys that are on every roster right now, but it's most of the guys that have been signed under this mechanism since it got put in place. So you got Atlanta United with Edwin Mascara. Not that good. I would say that that's been a miss for them so far. Austin FC, Duber Sarkski. Not good. Barely know who that is. Charlotte FC, you've got Petkovic, Toklamati, who I barely know who those guys are, and then you've got Kerwin Vargas, who's been solid. That's actually a solid one. Chicago Fire, Barroso, who looks okay, not amazing. Gutierrez, that's a little different because he's homegrown for them. So that's another way to do it. Like Seattle could use this on Obed, that's been talked about. But that's not, I was kind of thinking of this as more guys who came from outside the league. That's kind of what I was more interested in, because I think that's what Seattle would be looking to do. I don't know who this last guy is. Flores, I think, has been solid for FC Cincinnati. So, like, just these first few teams, I'm looking at it, and I was like, this is sort of what I thought. Like, this looks really hard to actually find an impact player. You keep going down the list, and you've got Atencio in there for the Rapids now, who he's playing well. I think that was a good get for them, but that's more intra-league. And Cole Bassett's also a homegrown. None of these Rapids guys really fit in the criteria that I was looking at. The Crew don't have any, so that's one approach. Then you're getting into your Leo Chus, Patrickson Delgado, Giovanni Jesus. These last two guys, I don't think that's a very amazing group for FC Dallas. Leo Chu was considered more of a bust than he deserved in Seattle. I maintain that he wasn't like a total bust, but he definitely never hit the upside that the Sounders were hoping when they signed him. And I think the Leo Chu example is kind of that kind of shows how difficult it can be. You know, like that was a play. Leo Chu had some pedigree coming from Brazil. he was considered a distressed asset, but like that was one where when they did it, I was like, okay, I can see why they would think that this is a good use of this spot. And he had some good moments. He has 20, 21, 22 goal contributions for his MLS career. So he's not like a total zero, but definitely didn't pop. These DC United guys, not that good. The Dynamo group is a little better. Jack McGlynn's sort of TBD. If that pops the way they hope it's going to pop, that could really work, but I don't think you can say that it has yet. And Nolly hasn't popped yet. I don't think Aliu has popped yet. Quinones is pretty good, I think, but not a mega hit. So going down the list, like this whole like first part of it was kind of reaffirming my priors, and it was honestly making me feel like, man, I just don't know how likely it really is that Seattle is gonna find someone who's like a real impact player with this spot, which is what Craig Weibs, that's his stated goal. It's not a developmental spot where you give him a year or two. He wants whoever it is to be able to slide in and play right now. So a few of these guys that we've looked at are definitely getting minutes and contributing. Are they like stars though? Are they carry the load players? They're not that many that we've looked at so far. The SKC duo, not super popping. The Galaxy group. Okay, so this Julian Aude guy, he's really good. And they also are the ones that got the crown jewel of this mechanism, which I think is Dejan Joveljic. So Dejan Joveljic is the one that everyone points to of like, oh yeah, see, you can use this mechanism to get a carry the load type striker. That is the outlier though. Like Joveljic is the outlier. I think he's the only striker, at least, that I could think of, which everyone is saying Seattle's got to use this on a striker. Like I said that at one point. Nico has said that. But going through this list, like Joveljic is the only one that I could think of that's like really popped the way that they want him to pop. But then you go down and it starts to get better here. I mean, Davi Martinez was like if you can pull something like that, that's what you want to do with these spots, I think, is a player like that who has the combination of pedigree and upside that, I mean, they're going to sell him for an incredible bag. So any player of that mold, it's just, that's an impressive one from LAFC that they pulled that off. Because Davi Martinez is like, he was on the radar of like Bayern Munich and clubs like that. And they convinced him. I don't know how they did it. They convinced him to go to LAFC. But again, like I said, if you ask an LAFC fan if he's truly been a needle mover for them, I don't think they would say that he has. He's had some unbelievable individual plays, but as far as his total body of work, I mean, he's 19. So that's like the situation that you get with players like this sometimes. Inter Miami's got a really good group here. Aviles, excellent. Redondo, one of the most highly rated prospects coming out of Argentina when they got him. And Segovia has looked pretty awesome at moments for them so far this year. Although it seems like, I don't know, I was reading on Reddit that some of their fans might not like Segovia and Allende as much as I did when I first watched them play this year. But either way, like this Inter Miami group, but like, this is the thing. Inter Miami was able to, and they did it with Diego Gomez too. And Inter Miami has been cooking with this like as much as anybody. But like, it makes it a lot easier when you are able to say, hey, come to our club to develop, and you get to play with Lionel Messi and the Barca boys. I think if you look at the success they've had with this mechanism, it's a lot to do with that. Like how they were able to leverage Messi and the Barca boys to get just so many of these elite prospects on their roster. So if you can figure out a way to assemble a group like they have without Messi and the Barca boys, I don't know. When I look at their group, I think it's the best all around work that has been done when you throw in Diego Gomez and a couple of the other guys. This Minnesota United group, not that impressive. CF Montreal, George Campbell, I didn't even know I forgot he was still in the league. That is not a good use of that spot. That's someone who's thought to have upside in like 2021. But what are the real odds George Campbell is going to be a week in, week out impact player? Jalen Neal, I like that move, but it hasn't really worked out for them this year. Nashville, this Qasim guy, Ahmed Qasim, has been playing for them. He looks like he could be good, but it hasn't popped yet. Not sure about these Revs or Red Bulls guys. Noah Ile for the Red Bulls. He's been really good. He's like what CF Montreal would want George Campbell to be, I think. So that's a good example of using it to get a really good defender. NYCFC is another team that is really good at this. I think if I was to look at the clubs that I want Seattle to emulate with their use of this mechanism going forward, Inter Miami, NYCFC, and LAFC are the ones that stand out. And then obviously Joveljic. I looked at Pat. I looked at the list very briefly, so my early take on it was going off just like first gut reaction. But yeah, it's not. It's actually. I'm kind of going through it with you guys right now. I'm kind of getting back to feeling like, man, it might be pretty hard. The degree of difficulty you're threading on a signing like this feels pretty high. But like Fernandez, Mijatovic, Ojeda, and there's been a couple others in the last couple years for NYCFC where they actually get these guys and they come in and help carry the load, score goals, move the needle. They've been pretty good at it. Ramiro Enrique Rodriguez for Orlando City. Enrique is pretty good. Quinn Sullivan, homegrown for the Union. Oh, okay. There, I think so. Here's a lot of them that where I think started to look better. The Timbies have done well with this. They have. This is an impressive group. Anthony has been playing pretty lights out for them this year. Ayala's been really good. Santi Moreno, is he still on their team? Yeah, he is. Santi Moreno, I'm not sure if he's having as good a year this year, but he's been a very good signing for them, at least production-wise. And then Kevin Kelsey, he got pocketed by Stu Hawks, but that's a $10 million type player. So the Timbies have done good work with this. That's one of those ones where I look at it and I'm like, okay, like maybe if you play your cards right, you actually can cook with this. Obviously, Diego Luna is one of the highlights of this so far, and he had an interesting path because he came up through USL before he went to RSL. So that's a little of a unique situation, I would say. That's not one where I really look at it and I'm like, okay, Seattle can emulate that. And then you got San Diego FC with Tomas Angel and Bruseth. None for the Quakes, none for the Sounders. And then not really sure about St. Louis and Toronto, but then you get down to the Caps, and the Caps have probably the best pure duo on this list. Ocampo, excellent. Been really good. Been contributing to their Champions Cup run. And Pedro Vite is not just the best player on this list. He is a top 3 to 5 player in MLS right now. So that shows that it can be done. I don't know. What do you guys think after seeing that list and hearing some of those names? Are you feeling better or worse about the? I guess I feel like going through it made me a little less confident. But then you do look at some of the individual names. If you think about Joveljic, Ocampo, Vite, the guys that the Timbies have, Anthony, a player like that, it can be done. The degree of difficulty on it is really high for a lot of the variables that we heard Craig Weibs mention. And just the notion of getting week in, week out, big time contributions from players of that age doesn't happen as much. Hit rates lower in those situations. But there were names on that list. There were names on that list that really did pop. Inter Miami, Portland Timbies, New York City FC. You got Diego Luna. You got Dejan Joveljic, Ocampo, and Vite for the Whitecaps. That's almost 10 names right there of all like impact players. So I think it's basically a long way of saying that I've come back around to my original take, which is that it is hard. The degree of difficulty is high. But if you play your cards right, you scout it up right, you find the right guy that fits into your system, your culture, and everything, you can cook with this. You can cook with this. Let's see what Craig Weibs has got here. This will be a good little, there's been a lot of Craig Weibs discourse this season. A lot of critiques, a lot of criticisms. If he hits on this one, there would be a lot of narratives that he could undermine. I'm on record as saying that I feel like the Weibs discourse got way too hot. Still does get way too hot sometimes. Feel like you could definitely argue his tenure has been a mixed bag, but it definitely hasn't been like a disaster. And it's also, I think the main thing I've been saying about it is a lot of it is TBD. There was a long period of time where he hadn't really got to make his mark yet, and we're just now with De La Vega finally playing, with stuff like the Ryan Kent thing happening, with Moose now with more time on the team starting to play like they hoped he was going to play. There's like this is an ongoing evaluation. It's an ongoing evaluation. But what he does with this slot will be a big determining factor. Seattle was not able to get out of Leo Chu what they hoped they were with that attempt. But maybe this time they have a better idea of what they're looking for. I'll have to compile a little list of all of the Craig Weibs moves. Maybe do another little exercise where go through that and talk about the hits and misses. He is a distressed asset merchant because Hanauer's broke. Okay? He's broke. So you got to moneyball that. And it seems like he actually did with Moose. The Moose signing was like a big talking point with the anti-Weibs crowd. That was like the bit we could have filled the backup 9 spot with someone way back, but now Moose is actually on fire. So that's why I know people don't like being told to wait to make definitive conclusions, but that's why, because like stuff can change, right? I'm going to talk about this in a bit, but like we're seeing it happen with Ferreira right now, where people are already calling it a bust, which I don't think I would characterize it as such anyway, but it's also, there's so much of the season left. There's so many games for the story to change. If he gets to the end of the season and he goose eggs on goals, then yeah, but like that hasn't happened yet. There's still 2/3 of the season to go. I think people were understandably unexcited by Waibel signings until recently, and I'm excited for it. But Chu, Abear, De La Vega now starting to cook. Oh yeah, Abear, Abear was in. I think so. That was part of the Waibel's consternation. Was that the Abear signing directly into the Moose signing, and then having it like be the exact same scenario where it was like the guys getting in the good spots but not finishing the chances type narrative. So that was part of it. So among the many reasons why I'm happy to see Moose doing what he's doing, it's more that he's helping the team score every week, but he's breaking the curse of Abear. He's breaking the curse of Abear. People talk about GM versus coach versus players, but honestly, GM versus ownership is such an important consideration. It's probably the biggest consideration. Probably the biggest consideration. But being a good owner isn't all about dropping bags. Hanauer's broke, and he's won 2 MLS Cups, Concacaf Champions League, 4 U.S. Open Cups, been to 2 more MLS Cups, won the West a couple times. I mean, that's a pretty good track record for a broke guy. It's really more, makes it more impressive when you think about it like that. What else did I have to get to tonight? Coming up on 2 hours. If you guys got any questions or topics related to the Seattle Sounders, Major League Soccer, or anything else, feel free to drop them in chat. Probably start wrapping it up relatively soon here, but good to hang around for a few more minutes if you got everything that or anything that you want to hit before we get out of here. I did have one more topic that I'm going to get to. Pretty surprised, to be honest, that Moose makes the team look quite good, even regardless if he's scoring or not right now. Anyways, he comes off and we struggled. Didn't expect to appreciate him. He's a lot of the good stuff that Moose is doing right now is outside of just the goal scoring, which I would say is actually always been the case, to be fair. It's just it didn't mean anything to anybody because he wasn't finishing the chances he was getting into. But like part of the benefit of a striker like Moose is what he provides and like all the other aspects of the game. I think he's a pretty good hold-up player. It just seems like the offense and the chance generation, just by the eye test at least, and by the underlying numbers a lot of the times as well, both for Moose individually and the team, look good with him on the field. The goals just weren't coming with it. So that is why he was not getting credit for it up until now. So that's another reason why I'm happy about it, is because he's getting the credit for that other stuff that he's doing to help the team, because he's also a man possessed and banging in goals like there's no tomorrow. Joel, can you send me the list of who's expiring? I don't know that like fully off the top of my head. If you hit me with the names, I can answer that. How did Craig pull off Ryan? Like, even distressed, this was an insane pickup. I think a lot of it, and I think he would even tell you this, is like fortuitous circumstances. Like, it's kind of just the stars aligning where you had this player who was out of favor with his current club, but has a lot of pedigree. Was a very good player in the Scottish Premiership. I think Michael McColl earlier was underselling it a little bit. Like, well, I shouldn't say that because he actually watches that league and I don't. But like, from what I read about it, he was considered like a pretty electric player in for Rangers. Like the stuff we saw him do against St. Louis, like he was getting their bums off seats like that. He was. So you're usually like not going to see a player like that fall out of favor at the exact time that you need a player of that profile, but that also has a connection to one of your coaches. Andy Rose played with him briefly, I think, at Coventry City. So he had the interpersonal connect on it as well. And then the timing of it, he's looking for a new team, falling out of favor at Fenerbahce. So I think Andy Rose was a huge part of it. I think we got to credit him for a lot of it. But then really, I think you got to credit Craig Wybes too, because he made it happen. They had the opportunity, the connection with this guy, but you still got to go out and close the deal. You got to sell your organization, sell your locker room, sell your team for a player like that to want to come here. And I think Ryan Kent's kind of looking at it as an opportunity to rejuvenate his career. But I think he's talked about this a little bit, just like having fun playing the game again. Didn't he look like he was having the goddamn time of his life in that St. Louis game? The guy was a vibe and a half. I mean, think about it. He has not been playing a lot in the last couple years. There was a falling out at his previous club. Doesn't sound like he was happy there. Doesn't sound like he was having fun. The talent is evident. It's not really about that. It's about like getting him an opportunity where he can showcase that. So good on Craig Wybes, good on the club brass for making it happen. We'll see how it ultimately pans out. I think that he's going to dominate every single team that they play every single week, like he did against St. Louis? No. But if that's even like somewhat indicative of his level, they might have added like one of the best players that we've seen come through this team. I said it on the dub pod, and I don't think it was an emotional take. Like I left the stadium that night of the St. Louis game, and I was like, I don't know if I've ever seen a Sounders player like do stuff quite like that. Jo comped him to Dempsey in terms of the like kind of flair and swagger that he plays with, and I think that is the closest comp. But it's like if Dempsey was just like an absolutely electric presence from out wide as well, you know, the same sauce and creativity. I think the sauce and creativity are very comparable, but Deuce was like he was a more central player, right? It's more direct. He wasn't going to like cut in and like cook these guys from out wide like Ryan Kent was doing. That dummy he did at midfield. I know I've talked about it on every show since it happened, but it was so good. Seems humble. Yeah. He seems humble. He seems bought in. He said it was the easiest time he's ever had fitting into a new locker room. So I think that stuff like that, it matters. It's a credit to like the culture that exists, the vibes, right? That stuff matters. Here's a good one. Who's the better GM, Craig Waibel at Seattle or Garth Lagerwey at Atlanta? I mean, here's something that, and I've been talking about Atlanta United a lot, and I haven't really acknowledged this as much, but Garth's job at Atlanta, and probably a reason that he's not on the hot seat at all. I think Ronnie Dyla's on the hot seat, but I don't think Garth is. Garth's job for Atlanta, what he was hired to do, goes so far beyond like roster construction. He's not the GM or sporting director, really. That's Chris Henderson. He's more of like a CEO type. He does like business stuff when they're building new facilities or renovating stuff. That he's doing stuff like that. His role is so much. He definitely has input in personnel. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm sure he's involved in all their scouting and talent acquisition and all that. And he definitely, if they stay this bad, he's gonna get a lot of criticism for it. But like, it's just like he and Craig Weibs have way different roles within their respective organizations. However, Seattle has stayed pretty good since Garth left, and Atlanta United hasn't gotten any better since he got there. I'm not saying that I know if that means anything, but it is true if you're just talking about on-field results. So, yeah, so Craig Weibs versus Chris Henderson would be a better comp. I don't know. I feel like it's a little... Hendo did get there pretty recently. I don't want to blame something on him that I honestly, I don't follow them close enough to have any idea really like what his hit rate has been like. All I know is that team is bad. Like, they're not just losing games. They've been non-competitive in a couple of their last few games. When we talk about stuff like culture and vibes, theirs are way off right now. The players don't seem to fit together on the field. They look like they've never played with each other, but it just seems like there's some toxicity flying around. They got guys fighting at practice. I don't know. But that's why stuff that we're talking about, like how they were able to sell Ryan Kent on the culture of the organization, on the locker room, makes talent acquisition so much easier when you have that to fall back on. And you also, you can point to the trophy case. You bring a player to Longacres and you say, look at that. See that? That could be you putting those in there. That's what we do here. We put those, see that case with all the shiny metal objects in it? We put those in that case here. If you come here, we're going to put in some more. I don't know if they pitch it exactly like that. That's how I would pitch it. I would just point at the case. Come here. You're going to win some of those. How does a team that knocked Miami out of the playoffs make moves this year, $30 million of moves, and drop all the way off? Your guess is as good as mine. I got no idea. Did Kent come here because of Longacres? I don't think it was because of Longacres specifically, but I do think having a state-of-the-art facility like that, it definitely doesn't hurt. I don't know if Starfire was like actively detrimental to their talent acquisition, but I don't think it was like a selling point. It can't have been. A lot of you have been out there. No shade at Starfire. Had some great times there, but it's not state of the art. It's not state of the art. So they had to upgrade that. But I do think like I think there's something to what you're saying in terms of like a guy like Ryan Kent. If you show him Longacres, it's like it speaks to credibility. I think it honestly does. It makes a difference. Any player would look at that and be like, all right, well, as a baseline, I've got an awesome state-of-the-art facility, a great locker room, and a packed trophy case. Atlanta got lucky with their coach and previously unknown players their first 2 years. With that success, they all think that is just expected and will always be, but they have done nothing to retain it. Couldn't have said it any better. That's my exact Atlanta United take. And I think the further we get removed from it, it really seems like it was lightning in a bottle early on. and they haven't been able to recapture it. It's just, I don't know. I know I talk about it every week, but it's just wild. Like even their last game, they they drew Nashville 1-1. It might have been their worst performance out of their last 3 games, which the previous 2 they lost 3-0 back to back. But they literally, I'll fill you guys in because I watch it. Atlanta United for Schaudenfreude. They scored a goal. They got ahead. It was 1-0. Almiron scored it, which that's like, they need that to happen more. Almiron scored a goal. They're ahead 1-0. And then they bunkered. Like, I kid you not. They literally bunkered the rest of the game for like 70 minutes or something. Nashville SC looked like the home team. Absolutely. Like, for the entire rest of that game. And, of course, tied at 1-1, but really should have won. They really should have beat Atlanta at home, at Mercedes-Benz, at the Benz. I'm telling you, man, if you guys think that things were tough at the beginning out here in Seattle, they were. But it could always be worse. Because they spent $30+ million. 30 million. They still look like that. Feel like every expansion club has a first season or 2. Good luck. Yeah, sometimes. But it can also go the other way. I mean, remember FC Cincinnati and Minnesota United? That's what you don't want to happen. Seems like San Diego's done a good job of avoiding that fate. St. Louis 3.0 will handle St. Louis's high press. It is funny how that stuff ages sometimes. All right, last topic I had for the night, and then I'll start wrapping it up. I just wanted to address some of the Ferreira discourse because we had more than one person crashing out about how Ferreira is a bust in our comments when he wasn't even playing. He was hurt this last game and didn't even play, so I don't even know why that popped off like that. Maybe that's part of why, like, oh, this guy now he's injured. But people weren't giving Noah and I a hard time. I think with the Ferreira thing, we were proponents of the trade the whole time. As soon as I saw that it was happening, I was like, hell yeah, I love that move. I think that's a great trade. Happy to have him on the team. I think he's going to bring a lot to the team. Spoke highly of the trade. So now that it's been a mixed bag, people are like, you see, you were wrong. You guys were wrong. You misled us. You said it was a good trade, and it's already a terrible trade. And look, okay, here's what I'll say about this. Some of you just need to get a grip on this topic. We had one guy talking about how Ryan Kent has 2 assists in 58 minutes. Jesus Ferreira has 3 assists in 600 minutes. Therefore, Ferreira is a bust. Which, first of all, I think Ryan Kent I wouldn't compare him to Ryan Kent. Ryan Kent is apparently just him. Okay. It's very, very, very rare for a player to come into a new team like that and look that good that fast. That is the exception. But the person in question was saying, can you bring me, point to me stats that show that Ferreira hasn't been a bust? And he said that like it was a dunk, like I wasn't going to be able to do it. He said, show me the numbers. Explain it to me. You know how when you know that you're right about something, so you hit the other person with the explain to me how this, because you know they can't. That's what he was trying to do. He's trying to get me with a show me stats that show he's not a bust. Show me the stats. Okay. First of all, he doesn't have 3 assists. He has 5 assists. MLS counts secondary assists. You all know my take on that. I think that secondary assists are entirely valid. But even if you don't, regardless of what you think of the validity of putting a secondary assist on the stat sheet, MLS counts them. A lot of leagues don't. Whatever your opinion on that is, when I look at it, a secondary assist is an example of a play where he was involved in a sequence that led to a goal. Okay. So regardless of the stat sheet, it's a positive moment. It's a good moment. His secondary assist in whatever game that was, where I think the Colorado game, where he played KKR in and KKR got the primary. That's a great pass. That's a good moment. It's a good moment for the guy. You have to, I can acknowledge both things, okay? I can acknowledge a game like St. Louis away or San Diego away, where he didn't look good. It didn't look like it was meshing. It was off. It wasn't there. But I can also look at a game like the Nashville game where he had 2 primary assists and be like, that looked good. I thought he was really good in that game, not just with the assists, but just overall. I thought he looked sharp. I thought he was dangerous. I thought he was combining with everyone a lot better. I thought he looked a lot better getting that role to himself. Where, I mean, we've talked a lot about how Ferreira and Rusnak haven't like popped together so far. I thought the Nashville game, he looked a lot better in that position. He got on the stat sheet twice, and he looked dangerous the whole game. So there was that game. I thought his secondary assist in the Colorado game on the Moose goal was great. I thought his primary assist to KKR in the LAFC game, you had people at the time saying that one didn't count because like KKR did all the work. KKR doesn't have work to do if Ferreira doesn't put a nice ball over the top. That was a good pass. Why are we not acknowledging that was a good pass? So anyway, the number one is I don't know if this guy is watching or if he cares, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. Number one, your assist numbers were wrong. MLS counts secondary. He has 5. And you want another stat? He has 7 all comps. I bet you didn't even think about all comps. Didn't even think about it. He has 7. 2 primary in CCC. You can say it doesn't count because it was Antigua. I know that's probably what you're going to say. That doesn't count. It was against the Guatemalan team. Whatever. He got the assists. And I think a lot of his best moments so far were like, or at least at the beginning of the season, were when he was playing with Arriola. You could really tell that they already had like a built-in thing. So I think Arriola going down, that took away his ability to kind of like hit the ground running in that respect with them coming from the same team. But my point is that if you're crashing out about how he's been a bust, I feel like you're just being a little melodramatic. For him to be a bust, he'd have to be a total worthless 0, contributing nothing, being a detriment to the team. I don't think that that's been the case. I think there's been some not so good games and moments, and I think there's been some better games and some good games and some good moments. Can both of those things not be true? It's been a mixed bag, but I don't think it's been. I don't know. I don't think it's been as bad as people are saying. I think we're being dramatic here. I think we need to get a grip. Secondary assists are not ridiculous. We can have this conversation if you want to have it. It's not ridiculous. It's ridiculous because you don't like the player that I'm talking about and you don't want to give him credit for anything. So if you acknowledge the secondary assists, you have to acknowledge that he did something well. Secondary assist makes perfect sense. The logic is fine. I think it's completely logical to reward the guy who plays the pass that sets up the primary assist. I think Ferreira's the assist that the secondary he had on that goal in Colorado is a perfect example of that. He hits KKR right in stride, perfect weight on it, puts it in a place where he can hit Moose. Why shouldn't he get credit for that? Why? Like, this is the thing. People just take secondary assists are like Mickey Mouse Bush League as gospel. But like, if you actually think about it, there's nothing like illogical about it. It makes absolute perfect sense. And all your favorite leagues that don't count them, they're the Mickey Mouse ones. How about that? You're a Mickey Mouse league if you don't count secondary assists. You should give credit to the guy who sets up the guy who gets the primary. Why not? Secondary assists should be standard and awarded to everyone that connects uninterrupted passes before a goal. I'd go full secondary assists. See, I don't even think you need to go that far. That's the other thing about this secondary assist discussion is people say, well, if you're going to give the assist to the secondary guy, where do you draw the line? Where do you draw the line? Do you have to give it to the one before that too? You draw the line at the second guy. That is the easiest question to answer of all time. That's the line. I drew it. The second guy, that's the line. You don't even have to do anything where you credit the whole sequence. The guy who sets up the guy, those are the two guys who set up the goal. Those are the guys who get the assist. Makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense. So, but like I got on a tangent there. It doesn't matter as it pertains to this Ferreira, to what I'm saying about Ferreira. You can not believe in secondary assists. You can count them or not count them in your own mind, in your own heart. What I'm saying is that when I look at a sequence where Ferreira plays the pass before the pass and it leads to a goal, I consider that like, okay, he did something good. He had a good pass. He was part of a buildup that led to a goal. Good. That's what I want to see from him. That's what I want to see from him. If he's not part of dangerous sequences like that, that would be concerning. But if I look at it and I'm like, all right, he's got 3 primary assists in league play and then 2 secondary, which are both additional plays where he contributed to goals. That's pretty good. It's not nothing. Now, I will say, I get why some people are, I want to be dismissive. I've been pretty dismissive. I don't want to be dismissive. I don't want to be dismissive of the fact that he hasn't scored yet. That's not good. A big part of the reason he was brought here was to score goals. He scored a lot of them in his MLS career, 50 plus of them. So he's got a pretty proven track record of doing that. And if he's not scoring goals, then you're not fully maximizing what you're supposed to get out of the player. He didn't come here to be Steve Nash. He's not John Stockton. Okay, he's got to put the ball in the net. But I'm not as concerned about that as some people. Maybe. I think that will come eventually. Maybe I could be wrong. If I'm wrong and we get to the end of this season and he's still sitting on a goose egg, I will eat my words and you can call me out on that and I will admit that I was wrong. I'm pretty sure he's going to start banging in some goals. I've watched him enough in his career. He's got a lot of them. I think he's going to start to score some of these. He's had some chances. We know. He's hit 2 of them into the 47th row. 1 in Mexico. 1 in Colorado. I've also seen him score a lot of goals like that in his career. This is the thing. I'm coming at this from a place of someone who has watched a lot of FC Dallas over the years with him as a centerpiece. So I know he can score goals. Everyone should be able to see that too from looking at the stat sheet over his career. Scoring goals has not been that big of an issue for this guy throughout his career. So I think, and this is just a prediction, again, could be wrong. I think we're looking at some finishing variance here over a small sample size. I also think we're looking at a player that's not entirely fit in on his new team yet. And we're looking at a guy who had a couple of good chances that he put into the 47th row. But I've also watched enough of this sport over the years to know that if you have someone with a proven track record that is not performing up to that, sometimes that means that they've just lost it, but a lot of times it also evens out and they go back to more like their career norms. So is he going to bang in 15 goals this year? Probably not, but I don't think he needs to on this team. I think it's honestly fine if it turns out that his best role on this team is more as a facilitator than a goal scorer. But I'm definitely not naive to the fact that they need him to start scoring goals to for the signing to be considered like truly a hit. But I think we are being dramatic about this. We're being dramatic about this. It has not been that bad. It really hasn't. I even know there's brigade members that have started to be like, all right, it hasn't been that bad. Hasn't been that bad. 7 assists, all comps is not nothing. Even if you want to take away his secondary, 5 assists, all comps is not nothing. It's something. It's not a 0. It's not a bust yet. What would have to happen for me to consider it a bust? Look, even if he only scores a couple goals this year, if he puts up like double digit, like 10 to 15 assists, I would take that. Like, I would not think that's a bust, even if the goal scoring numbers aren't there. For it to be a like bust, you understand, bust means like you're 0, you're nothing. So I guess if he doesn't get any goal contributions for the rest of the year and is playing a lot of minutes and contributes like pretty much nothing to the offense, nothing to the team, we get to the end of the season and we're like, man, Ferreira had some assists early, but after that he was pretty much a 0. Then I will call it a bust. Yeah. If he ends up at like four goals, 13 assists or something, it wouldn't be as many goals as we all hoped or wanted, but that wouldn't be a bust. Yeah, 5-6 goals, 12 assists, especially on this team where like he doesn't need to be putting up crooked numbers like he did for FC Dallas to be successful. He doesn't have to do that here. That's why I think like it's not cope to say that his best role might just be as a facilitator on this particular team. Just means they got a lot of other good players that can score the goals, like Danny Musovski. I want him to start scoring goals, though, mainly just so we can stop this bust talk. Hasn't been a bust. It hasn't popped. Hasn't been a bust. Over under on 3.5 goal contributions for Jesus in his next 3 matches. Over, but all assists apparently. De La Vega needed a year here to figure it out. This is Ferreira's first career move. He needs time to figure it out. I'm glad some people are willing to give that to him, you know. I'm a benefit of the doubt type of guy. Okay. Never going to condemn anybody for an 11-game sample size on a new team. Like you said, first time moving teams in his career. And it hasn't been as bad as the comments that we are getting are saying. I know everyone wants to has been itching to dunk on us for that because we had the audacity to say that we liked the trade when it happened. But my thing is also you have to look at process over results sometimes. Just in the sense of even if something doesn't work out, it's can you at least understand why it was done? I mean, I'll tell you just from my perspective, if you told me that they had that deal on the table and they didn't bring Ferreira onto the team below a DP threshold for whatever reason, we don't want to bring in a guy who's already played in MLS, that would piss me off. That would have been. That's why it's good that fans aren't GMs, man. That's why it's good that fans aren't GMs. If some of you were running the show, you'd say, "No, we're not taking Ferreira. We got to go. Sign Emmanuel Latte Loth with our Hanauer money. If we can't do that, then this is chalked." Then you end up like Atlanta United. Atlanta United's roster building is low key. If they let a fan do it and just gave them as much money as possible, just buy the most expensive guys, put them all together, don't think about team building at all. My God, I'd pay to see a comment coach have to actually coach a team for a game. or be a GM, do Craig Weib's job. We all think that we could do Craig Weib's job better than he could. I think if you actually get into the reality of it, it's difficult. Latte Loth has been good. Marinchuk and Almiron not so much. That is true. Well, that's sort of that's part of the point though, Derek, is you can spend as much money as you want on a number 9. And they might even score goals for you. Look at Latte Loth, look at Hugo Kuipers. Getting a number 9 that bangs in goals. Sorry, I've got an itch on my nose. Getting a number 9 that bangs in goals is not a ticket to winning necessarily. A ticket to winning is building a really goddamn good team and then going out and getting Brian White. Apparently that's what you need to do to dominate MLS. So next call-in show, we'll do one. Let's see. I think we'll be able to do one post-game on Saturday. It's always a little bit touch and go. But generally speaking, we've been able to hit road games. Generally speaking, the way it's been working is after road games, we're able to fire it up right post-game, stream the pressers and all that, and then take calls. So you can call in and make your little Jesus bet with Noah. I don't know why you're so confident that he's not going to get to, what is it, 6? Just purely based on track record. I don't know. I'm firing up the lo-fi. Sorry. Oh wait. That's not the right lo-fi. Here we go. This is the lo-fi. About to wrap it up here. Went for 2.5 tonight. Appreciate you all tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the Whitecaps talk. Looking at some U22s. I don't know if the U22 exercise was as illuminating as I hoped it would be, but I thought it was still kind of instructive to go through the names. If you got any final questions, topics, agendas, grievances, go ahead and drop them in chat. Stick around to I'll go to this 2:30 mark right here. About 5 more minutes. Is building a team that is supplied by a pipeline, ideally with youth academy and international networking with strong existing relationships. I think you're advocating for that type of team building. But yes, in a salary cap league, you really can't emphasize enough how important youth development is. You're good, Hunch Punch. I figured it out. What else happened in MLS this last week that was worth hitting on? There's a round of Open Cup results last night. No one got Cup set. Man, the Philly Union almost got beat by Indy 11. They only won that on PKs. Just seeing that. No cup sets. Derek, love you, man. Thank you for the $2. Glad you enjoyed the Vancouver content, U22 content. I love my Under the Lights crowd. These do not perform at our top capacity, but that's why I like it. That's why I like it, because it's like this is where the real diehards hang out, and we just get to. I like using this one to get guests from around the league on here, learn about other teams, also do more like national oriented stuff. Look at other teams' roster buildings, like, you know. That's why I had the idea for the U22 stuff. That's sort of, if you guys have stuff like what I was doing with the U22s tonight, like thought exercises like that you think would be interesting, feel free to send them to me on Blue Sky or wherever else, and I'm down to dive into stuff that you guys might be interested in. And it can be like, doesn't have to be Sounders related. Point total over the next 3 matches. Okay, I'll reiterate what I'll give the optimistic and then the more realistic take. What I'm hoping they do is a 2-0-1. I'm hoping they beat Houston, wrangle a draw at LAFC. I mean, obviously, if they won all 3, that would be sick. But like in a more realistic scenario, because winning all 3 of these is not wholly unrealistic, but it'd be really hard. Beat Houston, wrangle a draw at LAFC, beat Portland. I think if you do that, that would be a smashing success of a road trip. What do I think is more likely to happen? I think 1-1-1 is the most likely outcome, which wouldn't be horrible. That'd be okay. Wouldn't be great, but it wouldn't be disastrous. I think they probably 1-1-1 it. But if they 1-0-2 it, I would take that. It's not just the competition you're playing, it's the schedule, man. It's like pretty brutal. The games are so close together. So, but this is going to be a good test. The degree of difficulty on an MLS road trip like this is very high. So if you can get out of it with if you can get out of it at a 2-0-1, that would be fantastic. And really, man, I'm just so intrigued to keep watching Ryan Kent. Is he that good? Is he actually that good? Was that just like MLS beginner's luck? Light it up right at the start, teams figure you out, and then you level off? Or is he just that guy? I think he might just be that guy. He looked like that guy. But he's only played 58 minutes, so we're going to find out. But that's why this stretch of games coming up is so... it's pretty exciting because we get to see more of this guy. We get to watch him in a derby. Exactly. Get to watch him in a derby. And it's against some of the best competition in the West. LAFC, Houston's not having a good year, but LAFC are LAFC. That's a hard road trip no matter what. And they're not like the peak apex version of LAFC, but they're still a good team. And you got the Timbies who they lost last week and almost lost to a bunch of 17-year-olds. But the Timbies are the Timbies. They're going to score a lot of goals. And the other thing I can tell you is that they're going to play this game like it's the last soccer game they've ever played. They are going to play like Real Madrid. This is the only game they care about. Some teams want to win MLS Cup. Some teams want to win Concacaf Champions Cup. Some teams qualify for the Club World Cup. The Portland Timbies circle the games against the Seattle Sounders, and that's what we play for. And there was a long period of time where they were owning the rivalry because Seattle would not match that. Like the way they play Sounders games, like they're going to die if they lose. Which is how you should play a rivalry game. Like, not even shade. It's just that you always have to prepare for that, because the whole thing is like, especially this is their narrative too. They just got destroyed by the Quake. So their narrative is going to be, all right, we got to beat our rival to like course correct. It's always a course correction for them. They're like, oh, we're not playing good right now. We just lost. We got the Seattle game. All right, time to play like the greatest team on earth. So they are going to come out playing like godforsaken maniacs. Seattle's got a it'll be good for the squad to be thrown in to that type of game. Pat becomes a YouTube member. Thank you so much, man. Sorry I didn't get to catch you at the Defiance game. There's so many like more people there. It's way harder to make the rounds. Thank you for becoming a YouTube member. Everyone follow Pat's lead. Become a YouTube member. Best way to support the show. Watched him, Ryan Kent, with the Liverpool Academy, and then Stevie G brought him to Rangers. He's that guy. All right. Like, I've been hearing conflicting reports on if he's that guy. Listening to Michael talk about him a little bit at the top of the show, he seemed like he didn't consider him that guy. I think he also didn't see what we saw against St. Louis. I think there's a decent to good chance that he might just be that guy. Which, if he's that guy, I was talking about this on the Dub Pod too, but like if he's that guy, they could finally have a player that can actually put up like, you know, like a real crooked stat line. I think one of the points I was trying to make on that show was like as good as Ladera was, his game wasn't putting up a crooked stat line. His stats were great. The guy turns out still to this day I don't know about this year, but as recently as last year, he'll still churn out a double-digit assist season for you like it's nothing. But he never ripped off like a 25-plus goal contribution season. You know who's put up the most crooked stat line on the team in the last few years is Albert Rusnak, funnily enough. He had something resembling like the type of year I'm talking about last year, 10-16 with 30 goal contributions, all comps. But man, how sick would it be if they had a player who could put up like Lucho Acosta numbers or Hani Mukhtar numbers? He might be that guy. He also might not. But I like the excitement of getting to find out. The Timbies thing goes before Phil Neville, though. Man, I just wanted to stop by to crash out about the ref handing Timbies the game against Defiance on Tuesday. Still mad about it. Also, it was great to celebrate with you and Noah after the second. Hell yeah. Thanks for stopping by. Valid crash out. The Timbies got bailed out. They know it, too. They know it. Their fans know it. Their fans know it. All right. I'm going to call it right there, guys. It's late. About to go to bed. Enjoy your weekends coming up here. Enjoy this Houston game on Saturday. I gonna tentatively say that we're gonna fire up our post-game live soon after final whistle. We're absolute worst case scenario. If we can't do that for some reason, we'll do it Sunday AM like we've been doing when we haven't done it right after. So there'll be one. We'll take some calls. We'll react to the match. If you haven't done so yet, like the video, sub to the channel, rate 5 stars, follow us on Instagram. I'm trying to get us to credibility on Instagram, and we're actually on our way. We're on the road to 500 follows. Okay, that's pretty big for us. But yeah, post-game Saturday, hopefully. Lobbing Scorchers kick off with Nico on Monday. Pod Tuesday. Back here for Under the Lights Thursday. The content don't stop. All right, have a good night, everybody. Catch you on Saturday. Peace. Don't want to give money to the oligarchs, but love Lobbing Scorchers? Do we have a deal for you? MLS Season Pass is back on Apple TV with access to every single MLS match, including Leagues Cup and the entire Audi MLS Cup playoffs with no blackouts. It's not just the games, you get total access to the pre- and post-match MLS 360 whip-around show in both English and Spanish, and get live look-ins and highlights from around the league, as well as full match replays and recaps. Now, you can support our show by visiting lobbingscorchers.com/Apple TV to purchase your subscription and support our show.
Lobbingscorchers.com/Apple TV. Please, don't let the oligarchs win.